Welcome to another edition of Overcoming Illness. I am your host, Paula Denoncourt, founder and CEO of Enrich Your Health. Sorry we're a few minutes late tonight. Just had some miscommunication in the time, which happens. Sometimes people don't know, Central Time to Eastern Time. We all do it. So no worries. So I'm your host, Paula Denoncourt. I'm a holistic health coach. I've been doing my business since about 2010. I help people with things like autoimmune issues, food allergies, food sensitivities. I do that by one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and speaking engagements, as well as now my TV show. So tonight I'm really excited to have Prophet Sherry Bean on the show. And she's going to share some her amazing journey, I should say, and organization that she started. So, with that, since we're starting a little bit late, I just want to let everybody know, being a health coach, I do have digital recipe books, ebooks available for people that suffer from multiple food allergies or even inflammation. If you have like arthritic type problems, I can do customized recipes, or I have them on my website, enrichyourhealth.com, along with some free gifts. And that goes for you too, Sherry. I have Reversing Illness ebook, digital ebook, and 6-day immunity meal plan guide. So we're starting a little bit late, so we'll get started. So I'm excited to have Prophet Sherry Carol Bean on tonight. She's an author, she's a TV host, and she is also a podcast host. So I'm really excited to share her journey tonight, and some of what she's gone through in her life to get her to where she is now. She's gone from rejection to redemption.
Yes.
And I cannot wait for you guys to hear some of the types of rejection she's gone through. Addiction was one of them, and I'm going to go into her bio and name some of it. And then we'll go into some of the questions. And then, Sherry, at the end, you can let us know where people can reach you. Hey, Maggie, thanks for being on. Antoinette, thank you for coming on. So thank you for those of you on. If you don't comment, I don't know you're here. But good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, whatever part of the world you're in. So thank you all for being here. So with that, let me introduce Sherry. Prophet Sherry was raised in the heart of the West Side after losing her adopted mother at the age of 10. She found herself living with her aunt, who was very emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and sometimes physically abusive. To escape the abuse in her household, she would hang out with some of the most notorious gangbangers and drug dealers on the west side of Chicago. I already know living in Chicago could not have been easy. Sherry drew their attention because she had a reputation for fighting. She would fight anyone, male or female. What they did not know was that she wasn't fighting to be seen. She was fighting because that was the only way she knew to deal with the hurt, abandonment, and rejection living and growing on the inside of her. It was also on the tough streets of Chicago's West Side. Sherry started sleeping with women and snorting cocaine. She started sleeping with women because almost every day her aunt would tell her how ugly she was and that no man would want her. Sherry started using drugs. Sherry started using drugs to fit in with the crowd she hung out with. After all, that is the only place she thought she fit in. And she would do and become whatever was necessary not to feel alone. Sherry has written a book depicting her life's journey, and it is called From Rejection to Redemption: One Woman's Journey. In it, she goes into detail on how Jesus interrupted her sin agenda with his plan of salvation. And amen to that.
Yes, yes.
Amen to that, yes. There's a 30-day journal that accompanies the book. The journal is filled with prayers designed to not only enhance your prayer life and language, but to assist you in identifying and uprooting the spirit of rejection both. Sherry's book and journal can be purchased on Amazon. Prophet Sherry hosts a bi-weekly Facebook Live show called Sherry TV. When asked to describe her show, she states, Sherry TV is a platform where the unknown voices are given an opportunity to release their kingdom sound. She brings people on who God has highlighted and given a message for the masses. That's huge. That's
Yeah.
really, really, that's awesome. How many of us have been in the back and not come to the forefront, but God wanted us in the forefront? She also hosts a podcast called Sit Down with Sherry. She uses the platform to release the word of the Lord, provide kingdom encouragement, and host other prophetic and marketplace voices called to speak and govern and shift the trajectory of those listening. Not only is Prophet Sherry a published author, she's also the founder of a nonprofit called Hearts for Cancer. Hearts for Cancer buys Care Bears and gives them to everyday sheroes and heroes without capes who have been given a cancer diagnosis. Sherry is a prophetic voice in the earth called and commissioned by God. That's so amazing.
Amen.
She is a prophetic intercessor sought by many to teach and train on praying the scriptures and praying them with the kingdom authority. Prophet Sherry will tell you in a no nonsense way that she hates the devil and he
Hate him.
hates her.
Hate him.
Prophet Sherry has no problem admitting that she is the least of the least called by a sovereign God to do and demonstrate the supernatural power of God everywhere she goes. Prophet Sherry will also tell you in no uncertain terms, don't come in her space if you don't want destiny pulled or pushed out of you.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Many call her a mother to those who feel abandoned and lost. She says, I simply want to be to and for others what I wanted and needed for myself. Prophet Sherry lives by intent, out loud and in color, and she does it without man's permission or approval. She makes no apologies for who she is, what she is called to do, and how she is called to demonstrate the will of the Father in the earth. Welcome, Prophet Sherry, and welcome
Hey,
everybody else who's come on.
thank you so much. Thank you.
We're just happy to have you. Thank you for coming on. So, Sherry, tell us, what is your passion and why?
Wow. So I'd have to say my passion is the broken. Anybody broken that comes around me, the antennas go up, Lady Paula, and I want to be something or someone in their life that helps get them to a place called wholeness.
Mm,
And growing up in the household that I grew up in, there was no voice around me to say, Sherry, you could do it. That I lived in a very verbally abusive household, and so one of the things that I longed for was someone to tell me that I wasn't what other people were saying that I was. So when my aunt called me dumb and stupid and never amount to anything, I longed for someone to say that's not true. You
right.
are amazing. You know what, the seeds that you plant in the child, the soil of a child's heart, the tree will grow, and then they'll eat from the tree that is grown. So you have to be very careful of the words, because I ended up living out those words. When she called me dumb and stupid, I began to embrace that as my truth, and I did dumb and stupid things. You know,
Mm,
I lived it out. So my passion is to see broken healed and made whole. My passion is to make sure that as many people that come in my pathway called life know that there is a God who is greater than any negative influence or affluence in their life. My passion is to see people smile. I literally, people will tell you, Lady Paula, I don't know a stranger. I will walk up to anyone and just hold a whole conversation. And I believe that the world is missing the component called compassion. It was compassion that made Jesus heal the multitude and continue on the mission of redemption. It was the passion and the love for humanity. And I believe that out of all the things we do, sometimes we forget the greatest element, because compassion makes you look beyond what a person is and they're now and look to where they could be. You know, compassion sees the God in them. So if I can't look at someone and see the God in them, then I'm asking God to change my eyesight.
ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? Ask God to change your eyesight if you're judged. I guess you'd say judgmental. Aren't we all a little bit judgmental?
Yeah.
Look what's going on in Florida right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
All I keep hearing is people keep saying, well, why didn't you get out? You should have got out. Why didn't you? You know what I mean? Like, not everybody has the means
Yes.
to evacuate. You know, what do they have? 2 days notice, maybe.
Mhm.
Um, They didn't know how bad it was going to be. They're used to storms, so they thought, we'll have to ride it out. Maybe they didn't have money to get a hotel. Maybe they didn't have anywhere to go. Maybe they had lots of pets.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason. I mean, don't judge everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even when you say that, all of the hurricanes and disasters and different things that we had, you can't tell me now one of the person that suffered the great loss and had to go and start over just decided I'm going to stay. Now you may get some people that say I'm going to stay, but there, for the most part, most people would love a way out. They may not get it. There are some areas where they're the last ones to even get the help. So you have to look at it from so many points of views. And then there are those, mothers who say, if my child can't go, I'm not going to go. That's what a mother does, right? That's what a father does. They stay, so and it's so quick to judge. It's so quick for me to
We
say,
all do it. I'm not
yeah,
going to say I'm not guilty
yeah,
because
we
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. And we learn. Sometimes the greatest lesson about judging is when you find yourself in that plateau yourself and you're being
right.
judged. You're like, whoa, did I do that? If I did,
Yep.
then I'm sorry. So yeah.
Yeah, I have a saying, never say never, because even though you say I'll never do that, no, I wouldn't do that, but you don't know unless you're in that situation.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
just don't know. So I love that. God, I want to see them the way you see them.
Yeah, yeah.
Give me your eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because then that's the eyes of love, mercy, and compassion. That's the eyes that
Mhm.
say, I know all the sin that you're in. I know all the disobedience, the rebellion. I know everything that you're in, but I love you. And
Yeah.
love really does cover a multitude of sin, and love is the only weapon that I've seen cause hell to just leave. Like, it really can, because you can love the hell out of a person for real. You really can. I'm a living witness of that. So when you know that, and you embrace that as truth, you just make that your mandate. So yeah.
So did you have brothers and sisters growing up?
I was the only child in my family. So my story is a bit complex. So most people think that rejection starts from outward when you're born and you get in situations, my rejection actually was framed in the womb, because my birth mother had 8 children and she did not raise not one child.
Hmm.
So when I was given up for adoption, that set the framework for rejection. But God is so amazingly awesome. He set this wonderful woman in my life who became my adopted mother. Her name is Mary. And she loved me like she had given birth to me. There was nothing that she would not do for me. And her words always were encouraging and all of that. And I had her for 10 years and I honored that. But when she transitioned and I was with her aunt blamed me for her death. My aunt blamed me for her sister's death. And I know hurt people hurt people. So she had lost a lot in herself. I've learned to forgive the hurt that she never even knew she lived in. So I became, it's kind of like when and I hate to say it like this, but I'll put it like this in everyday terms. If a woman gets raped and gets pregnant and has the child, sometimes she looks at the child and doesn't see the child, she sees the rape.
Yep.
And
We
so
talked
she
about
tries
this.
to treat the
Yeah.
child in an unjust way because of how that child got here. Right? Not
Right.
the child fault, but she is angry about the rape. She's angry about whatever the case may be. So when my aunt looked at me, she saw what she perceived to be the early death of her sister. And because my mother was known to be violent. I had a mother who was known as one you just didn't want to mess with, and I have more characteristics of her, I think, than most, because I growing up, and it's in my book, From Rejection to Redemption. I talk about growing up being the one that would fight at the drop of a hat because of what was going on inside, and I found out that she was like that. So I have sisters and brothers, and God allowed me. A few years back to actually meet my birth mother. I was over 40 when I met her. And it wasn't one of those Paula stories where it was like, oh, I missed you. I did no, that wasn't a story. we
Right.
we met at a we met at a family reunion, and she walked up, and I grabbed her and I was crying, Paul. I was like, oh my God, you're my mom. And she looked at me and she said, she gave me a pat and she walked away, and she saw my little sister and she said, there go my baby right there. And I stood in the middle of the family reunion crying. Because I was like, what? Because you go through that, even as an adult, you can go through, what is wrong with me? Why
Yeah.
can't you love me? What is wrong? But at that moment I had people around me to say, don't do that. Don't you go in
Mm,
there. Don't you enter that dark space. And they would tell me that's how she is. You can't, don't do it. And so I got a chance to meet my birth brothers and sisters, which was amazing. I love them. I have a little sister named Sherry, and I have two older brothers, and an
nice.
older sister. So I got a chance to meet them. So that was good. Um, but prior to that, my life was very, I was on a road to hell, and I put myself on it. I didn't want to be here. I thought that God had made a mistake in leaving me here.
Mm.
And so I did everything and anything I could to numb the pain. So I don't want to, yeah, but you could, I don't want to keep talking because I'll just keep going.
Oh no, that's people need to hear it. So tell me, like the reunion, how did you wind up like at a family reunion like that?
So I
How did
have
it go?
yeah, I have a birth uncle up here. And so I had got in contact with him. And they had a family. I found out that they had a family reunion every year. And so this year I said I want to go. And so they made sure that I was able to get down there and go because they wanted me to meet her as well. And it just didn't go the way everybody would have liked it to go. It
Mm,
just wasn't. But I now say with my birth mother, anyone can have a baby and it doesn't qualify you as being a mother. She
right.
had children, she couldn't be a mother. And I believe she knew that. I believe that she knew that she couldn't be a mother. And she gave them away. And that was her choice. She passed away a few years ago as well. And so my greatest takeaway from that is one, thank God she didn't abort me because I needed to be here.
Right.
The next takeaway was I thank God that He allowed me to meet her, to look upon her, and just tell her. I was able to tell her, I love you.
Yeah.
I love you. It doesn't matter what I just need you to know that I love you. And I did. I can honestly say that I did my best in trying to have a relationship with her. It just wasn't her wish. And
Yeah.
and so you learn and you grow from those type of things.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I was also adopted. Yeah, I was adopted into a really good family. Both my
Right.
parents are now, but I never knew my birth mother,
Mhm.
and I've never like tried to look for her or anything. I don't know who my birth siblings are or anything. So I just think that's awesome. Regardless which way it went, at least you got to meet some of them. Are you
Yeah.
in touch with some of your brothers and sisters now?
All the time, all the time. I because I'm family oriented, so I'm reaching out. They've started reaching out. So yeah, we keep in contact. Because I told them if we're all that we have, then let's make that real. Let's be
Yeah.
all that we have. Let's break generational curses and cycles of dysfunction of not talking and all of that. Let's break that. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm called to do. So it's heartaching sometimes, but we do it right. We keep going.
Yeah. You're meant to mend families together and people, and yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I was like I said, I was fortunate. I had a good mom and dad, good upbringing. I'm thankful for my adopted parents because I don't know
Yes.
where I would have ended up. No idea.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I've always been thankful to my mom that gave me up for
Mm-hmm.
that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like not everybody
Yes.
else feels that way.
Right.
But
Right.
like you said it earlier, right from the get go, we feel rejection. We don't even know we're feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
don't know this or realize this. Sometimes right from the womb you're feeling rejection, like your mom didn't want you. You pick up
Yes.
on that
Mm-hmm.
feeling, and you're born with it.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
one of those things that you're just rejection's just kind of in you because
Yeah.
that's you're born. And even I've always hated hospitals, and not even the not that anybody really likes hospitals, but I always wondered too, not always, I kind of came to this realization a few years back. I wonder if my biggest hatred for hospitals is because I was born in one where I was given up. Like my mom gave me
Wow.
up. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thought. Or is it just, a lot of people hate hospitals? I mean, who
No,
likes,
it's an association. It's just
right,
like you said. Sometimes people we react to the association we have with something. So
right.
it's an
I don't
association.
know.
I get it.
I'll never know, but just a thought. Yeah. So, so tell us a little bit more of your upbringing, some of the things you went through, and then we'll talk. I do want to talk about your organization as well.
So
Just tell us a little bit about the drug addiction and sleeping with women. I mean, it sounds like you were just looking to kill pain.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think when people begin to understand that Drug use is a outward symptom of a much deeper problem going on within. So we oftentimes look at drug addicts and say, I don't know how they could. You're right, you don't. But who acts? Who takes the time to go up and say, what happened? That's the greatest question you can ask someone in pain. What happened? Why are
Yeah.
you here? So for me, I needed to numb the pain that was in my home. I mean, if you could picture waking up almost every day to someone calling you dumb and someone calling you stupid and comparing you to
Mhm.
other people, and you never living up, and being told things like, I'm not going to let you kill me like you did my sister. And you know I stayed on punishment for literally, I could say anything wrong and be on punishment for 6 to 9 months. I stayed
Oh,
on punishment more than I think I wasn't on punishment. I wasn't allowed to have sleepovers and friends, and I wasn't allowed any of those things. And I could get in trouble if people would call my house and ask for me. So it was a lot. It was explosive verbally. It was explosive emotionally, because again, those things were sitting. Now remember, I'm from 10 years old up until 15 or 16 years old. Nobody honored my voice. I failed 8th grade because my aunt wouldn't adhere to the standards when they used to say you have to have paper transcripts and you have to go over there and you have to. My aunt wouldn't do that, so I ended up failing 8th grade. Imagine what that was like, watching your peers go before you, and I tested higher than most of them in school, and she didn't care. And then even after that, I was made to wear the same clothes, because she said, if you're dumb enough not to, if you're too dumb to pass, then I'm not buying you any school. She would never accept the responsibility of the fact that you're the one that made me, have to repeat this class. These great, and there was all kind of teachers was even calling her and say, hey, will you please get the transcript so we can get her? She's smart enough. She would never go. I'm just kind of trying to paint a picture
hmm.
of that type
Yeah.
of life, and just giving to a point. I think at 15 I gave up. I
Yeah.
gave up. I gave up because and I know how it happened, Lady Paula. It happened because I had dropped. I was now they would say an AB student, but I had been one of those students who they wanted to skip grades back in those times. If you had a high enough score, you could skip grades. And my grades had dropped, and I had brought them all up except one, a math grade. And she looked at my report card, and I'm talking about from C's to B's and A's all the way up. I brought them all in one semester. I brought everything up except that math grade. I couldn't get it. And she looked at that math grade, and when she said, you dumb and you stupid, something in me died at
Yeah.
that moment. I was hope died. Hope died. I said, that's it. I'm not going to try anymore. And I started hanging out with gangbangers, and I started hanging out with drug dealers and all of those things. And they knew me because I would fight. Like they knew Sherry Carol Bean. They would call me another name on the street. But they say, oh man, when she come on the block, get it together, because I was just angry all the time, and would fight. And so when they started paying attention to me, I didn't get the attention in the home, so I ran to where the attention was. This is
Right.
what rejection does, though. Rejection will cause you to associate, align yourself, and get with someone or something that is means good, but it feels good for the first time. And so I started hanging with them, and they introduced me to powder cocaine. They introduced me to a gang lifestyle. My first so-called love was a woman, an older woman, because when you are looking for love, when what appears to be love shows up, you'll
Yeah.
you'll take it, depending on the depth. Now I'll say this: depending on the depth of rejection and self-hatred and loathing that you may be walking. I didn't like me. I didn't even like to look in the mirror. I didn't like me. I thought I was ugly. I thought everything about me was ugly. So when someone pays attention, I would grab onto them like for dear life, because I couldn't let you go, because if I let you go, then I'll be back in this empty space. And so I grabbed a hold to whatever it was, and there was something deep inside of me that knew it was wrong, but I needed to feel wanted. I needed to feel love, and it was abusive. She would jump on me, and her friends jumped on me, and all kind of things. But I stayed because this is the only thing I thought love looked like. So I understand when women who go through abusive relationships say, I thought this is what it is, because you don't you know um and so it progressed. And I remember I was standing on the corner one day in my neighborhood, and somebody walked up to me and they said, Sherry, you better get out of here. because there's a hit on you. Now, these are from the people that I hung out with. These are,
Mm.
my book talks about it in great detail. These are some of the people I hung out with. And they were going to kill me because I became more popular than some of them. I've always been a nice person. I've just been a nice person that was full of issues. And so, so I left. I remember leaving crying, and I went north to the north side of Chicago, and I fell deeper into drugs, and I fell deeper into lesbianism. I was deeper into the dark places of rejection. It was just deeper, deeper, and I didn't see a way out. I was content with dying the way that I was. I never. My testimony is not that I looked for Jesus. It's not that I wanted God. I was mad at him for taking my mom. I didn't want to. Everybody that told me about Christianity told me you going to hell. Nobody told me about a road called salvation. Some of the people that told me how quick I was going to hell was buying the same drugs I was buying, and all of these other things. So I thought the Christianity was full of hypocrisy. So who wanted any part of that? Uh,
Right.
but when God wants you, when God has His hand on you,
Mm.
much as I tried to run away, and I remember the day it happened, Lady Paula. I was working at a store, and my godmother, who couldn't stand me at first, she was too saved, and I couldn't stand her. I thought she was too saved, and she thought I was too much of a sinner. And we couldn't stand each other, but God knitted it. One day I was walking past with my sin partner. That's what I call her, my sin partner. We was walking past, and she jumped out of the seat. She was getting her hair done, and she hugged me, and she said to me, she said, "Girl, God gonna use you in your testimony." I didn't know there was an impartation. And from that moment on, I literally started wanting to know, well, who is this Jesus? And I remember I went to several churches, and they were so busy looking at the man pants I had on, and the man shirt I had on, and the man shoes I had on. They didn't welcome me. They didn't say, "Do you know Jesus?" When I would come, of course, they wouldn't put me out, but I could tell I wasn't wanted, and
You could feel.
nobody would greet me. Nobody hugged me. Nobody gave me that love. And I didn't want any part of that.
Mm.
So, for me, all of that, uh, all of my life prior to salvation was spent chasing the love that only God could give me. It was spent chasing the acceptance that was found in the bosom of Christ.
Amen.
I didn't get high I didn't use drugs to get high. I used drugs not to feel.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep with women
Yeah.
just because I wanted to sleep with women. I slept with them because that made me feel something until that became empty. Everything became empty after. It's like going to bed for satisfaction and getting up unsatisfied. You know,
Yeah.
all of those things was before. And when I tell you that the road, even when I came to Christ, when I started telling my testimony, people laughed at my testimony and said, "I don't believe she's delivered," and all of these things. And even in the body of Christ, that's a whole nother that's a whole nother thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And again,
Wow.
it all of these things are in my book, where I go into detail and I talk about some of how Lady Paula, these things affected me, because had it not been Jesus, had it not been God, I would have left Christianity at least a year in, because all I heard was what I wasn't. All I heard was, well, we don't know if you this, and we don't, it was so heartbreaking.
Mm.
And it's a saying, that says you can't skin a fish that hasn't been caught. And so many times they were trying to dress up the outside, and nobody knew the stench of the rejection and the hurt and the disappointment and the loneliness that I was feeling on the inside. I was still the 10-year-old girl who saw them take my mother away in a body bag, and I was screaming and nobody heard me. Yeah, I talk about it. That's the only chapter in my book I can't read. I can't read that chapter that talks about that, because it was the most painful. And
I
I
can't
died.
imagine.
I died with her. And I remember in my silent scream, when they said that she was dead. And I heard my auntie saying it, and I started screaming, "You promised you wouldn't leave me. You promised you wouldn't leave me." And I
Mm.
was screaming, but I didn't open my mouth.
Right.
Open my mouth. So it was a silent scream. And I remember when they zipped up the body bag and they were carrying her downstairs,
Oh,
part of my life went with her. And I think I chased that love that she had for years, until I could accept that my aunt had whatever she had going on, and she was not capable of giving me the love that I needed, and I had to get that love through Christ. The
Yeah.
men didn't get it, the women didn't do it, the drugs didn't do it. It
No.
had to be Christ. And still, sometimes to this day, when I think about the days, I fall into a weep, not a sad weep, but just a weep that He loved me so much through those hardest times.
Yeah.
I was stabbed. I'll say this, and we can go. Yeah, I was stabbed while I was like 18 or 19 years old, and I was stabbed. I was actually sleeping with a woman, and she stabbed me. She laid a 7-inch jagged edge knife into my side. It was
Oh
158 stitches and
my
19
God.
staples, and they told me that I coded twice on the table. You can't tell me God didn't have something for me, right? And I walked around for a week with like 19 stitches holding me together, staples holding me together after that. But this is how I know that when God has a plan for your life, no matter what happens, He will always give you a way of escape. And it may have taken me years to get here, but I'm here now. You
Yeah.
know, and so this is why I say I look at people different. I look at the unwanted different. I look at the ones who are hurt. I look at the lesbian different. I look at the homosexual different. I look at the transgender different. I look because my question is why? What happened? What's going on? What makes you feel this way? I look at the drug addict different. I look at the drug dealer different. All of these walks that God has walked me through, with they give me the eyesight of someone who says it's more to it than what I see.
I think a lot of times, and not to talk too much about this, but with transgender, maybe not all of them, but I think some of them, it's like what you said, it's all about rejection and attention. They weren't getting attention as, like, say they want to be a woman. They weren't getting attention as a man, so they become all dolled up and beautiful. And guess what? Now they're getting attention.
Mhm.
Now they get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It may not be right or wrong. I'm not going to go there.
Right.
But that's what it comes down for a good amount of them. I'm not going to say
Hmm.
all. Some people say you're born with it, whatever. You can go deeper. There's lots of reasons.
Hmm.
But one of the contributing reasons, I think, is what you just touched upon:
Yeah.
rejection,
Yeah.
no love.
Yeah. Yeah.
You weren't loving me this way, so I'm going to try this way instead.
Yeah. And
But
if
yeah,
we could ever get past the initial viewpoint, if we could ever get past what we see in the flesh, and
right.
ask God to show us the heart, or care enough to listen when they're talking, whoever it is, just care enough to say, what's going on, Paula? Why are you, or what happened? Did something happen? Do you want to, or just be a safe space for when they do want to
Yeah.
talk? Just make them feel like whatever you say to me is not going to make me look at you side eye. It's not going to make you love you. Because the truth about the matter is, if Jesus was in human form, the very people we shun, the very people we turn our nose up at, the very people we don't want to be with, is the people he'd be sitting having coffee with and asking them, do they want him? So for me, you can have all the rest of that stuff. I want to see souls saved. I want to see soul snatched out of the grip of hell. And I don't care what that hell looks like. I want to see it. And if God will entrust me to be a part of the releasing process, uh, that's enough for me. That's enough for me.
Yeah, we could talk even more about
Yeah.
all of what you've gone through, how you became a prophet, and all of that. But I do want to talk about your organization as well, Hearts for Cancer, with Care Bears and all of that. So tell me, like what you told me, how that came about. Tell us about
Yeah.
the organization, what you do, and then how people can reach you, how they can get your book, and all of that.
Absolutely. So, Hearts for Cancer was actually birthed out of when I worked at a particular organization, and I was in customer service, and I believe in serving customers. And I was most of the clients that would come into our office was they were afflicted and inflicted with cancer of some form. And I seen them from 18 to, oh, I literally saw a lady that was over 100 years old. And so I would see them come in, and I wanted them to be more than a number. I wanted them to feel like they were more than a number. And I definitely wanted them to believe that they were more than their diagnosis, because it's life altering, it's life changing. So I wanted them to know that someone cared. offices can be very cold. Offices can be very just one-sided and go in here, let me get you in here back. I wanted them to feel more than that. And so I changed my hair pink, a bright pink. And people would come in and they would say, "Oh, happy hair." That's what they would call me. I don't even think they knew my name, Paula. It was just like, "Oh, happy hair is here," but it would make them smile.
Mm.
And I did that for about 6 months, and then my office manager came and said, "Well, you change your hair color, or you're fired." And I knew at that moment that she was going to probably do everything she could to get me out of there, because again, all of a sudden people were talking about Sherry Carol Bean, and sometimes people, it's kind of like Saul and David. When David never did anything, just the people were honoring him more than what Saul thought that they should, and then he began to hate him. So it's kind of like one of those things. And so I changed my hair back, but I started putting little things on my desk, and just to make people smile, and everything. You take it off, take it down. It was, everything became against policy. And I had a pink Care Bear that someone had given me, and I left it on my desk. And she came and she says, "Oh, that has to come off too." And I looked at her. I said, "Okay." And then I said in my, now this was my rebellious nature, I'm gonna be truthful. I said, "Yeah, okay." And I didn't take it off. I said, "I'll take it off tomorrow." And I'm glad that I didn't, because at the end of the day, a young lady who was newly diagnosed entered into the office. And the young lady was she couldn't have been any more than 30. And when she came in and she came up, she was already crying. She already had tears in her eyes.
Mm.
And her conversation started with, "I just want to see my daughter graduate. I want to see my daughter get married. I want." So now my heart is breaking here, and I'm trying to have this office composure and all of this, but I'm listening to the her and her fears, right? And no matter what I would say to her, she was just, I just want to see her live. Yeah, and I just want to see certain. And so she looked Paula over, and she saw my Care Bear, and for whether it was 3 minutes or 5 minutes, all of a sudden, the fear, the apprehension, the scare of death kind of just dissipated. It just, and she started talking about, "I remember that. I remember the Care Bear era." And we started talking about Care Bears and how they came and how they made us feel and all of that. And then it came time for her to go in the back for her treatment. And I grabbed the Care Bear, and when she opened the door to go to the back, I gave it to her. And she was like, "No, I can't." "Yo, you're gonna take this Care Bear." And I gave her the Care Bear. And I found out later, the nurses told me that she held on to the Care Bear with tears, crying all through her, because it was her first treatment. And they said that she cried all through the treatment, but she held on to the Care Bear. And the next time I saw her, she grabbed me so tight, and she said, "You just don't know what you giving me that meant to me. It gave me the courage to go and take that treatment. It gave me the courage to do it." And she said, "You just don't know what that meant, and you're a stranger. You really don't know me." And I knew at that moment that was it. I said, "If this is what I can do, no one can stop me from doing this. So if this is what I can do, then I will buy Care Bears." And I did. I started buying them out of my pocket. All the extras I would get, I would just load my trunk up with Care Bears, and I would
Amazing.
start giving them away, as many as I could every day. I asked God, "Don't ever let me be able to walk into that office again without Care Bears." And he fulfilled that. And I did that for 6 months, about 6 to 9 months by myself, Paul. And then uh, my coworker said, "Well, why don't you announce it on Facebook or social media? People would help you." And they did. People started like, "Oh, okay, I'll buy a Care Bear, and I'll do this and I'll do that." And I was like, "Whoa, yeah!" So they were buying Care Bears, shipping them to me. I got a chance to connect with the Care Bear Corporation itself. They sent me 100 Care Bears. Hearts for Cancer has been on Channel 5 in Chicago for the work. And so we are out there. I personally go and deliver Care Bears to the Cancer Treatment Center in Zion. I've delivered them to a hospital in Chicago. I listen. I literally go search social media sites for people who may have been given a diagnosis or whatever the case, and I inbox them. So I've mailed, I don't know how many to people. I've TikTok, Instagram, whatever the case may be, and people inbox me and they ask me to send them Care Bears. And the greatest part of it, Paula, is this: I get to touch lives, and I get to create smiles from the inside out. I get to see people smile in the midst of whatever they're going through. And I had a testimony at my job. One of the ladies says her father is a man's man, but he had a cancer diagnosis, and she said I took him that. And we can't get too close because whatever. She said, but I took it and I put it on the porch. And she said, I had never seen my dad cry. She said, but when he picked that up, he cried, and I broke. I just went in the bathroom and started crying. She said, but when he picked that up, this big, strong man started crying. Um, and so we became, we're now non for profit. I still do the deliveries. I still do all of it. I just ship some through the mail. So we are now a non for profit. Thank God for that. And I'm just reaching out, and I'm asking people to connect with me. I'm asking people to donate. I'm asking people to contribute, partner with me, also that we can extend our reach, because the truth about the matter is there will always be, unfortunately, someone who has been given a cancer diagnosis, someone
Right.
who's fighting for the third or the fifth time. There'll always be a family whose loved one won on the other side. I give those. I personalize certificates for them. I do all of that, whatever it takes. So I want to be able to continue to do that. Is my passion. That is what I want to do. So I ask people to go to our website, to go to our Facebook live, to our Facebook, and look at that and see what we're doing. The evidence is there in the faces of the people that we've had an opportunity to touch. So yeah.
And the Facebook page is Hearts for Cancer, right?
Hearts for Cancer. You can just go click on there and you're going to see it. Yes, Hearts for Cancer.
You can follow the page there, and then on Instagram, it's
Hearts for Cancer. It's Touching Hearts for Cancer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't remember the first. I knew there was another word. I'm like, wait a minute,
Right.
what's that first word?
Mm-hmm.
Touching Hearts for Cancer on
Yes.
Instagram.
Yes. And the website. Yeah, and the website is Touching Hearts for Cancers with an S, the S on the end of cancers, .org. You can, on the website, you can go and you can look, you can see some testimonies that people have given, but you can also donate there as well. There's ways that you can donate. It is a 501c3, so those who may be interested in like tax time and write-offs, so it is recognized as that, and I would love for people to go on there and do it. If we can just continue to touch one person with a Care Bear, that's great, and that's where the money goes to purchasing Care Bears, to making sure we get them, to the operational cost of running this business, to all of those things. So I would love for people to go and look and share with other people. Share.
Right. Mm-hmm. How much is one Care Bear? Just so the people out there have an idea.
Sure. So it depends on where you go. If you go to Walmart, which was where I live, but if you go to Walmart, they have different prices. If you go in store, you can get a small one for like $10, and I think you can get a 5-pack of, yeah, and you can get a 5-pack of Care Bears for, I think it's $24. The middle size ones, or the 12 to 14 inch, they are anywhere from $12.99 to $14.99. You can go online and get some. There are so many, but I think the smallest one I've seen is, they call it a miniature Care Bear, but they can be kind of expensive because you got to get them 2 or 3. So sometimes you can get them on Amazon. They're $23, but the base price would start at $10.
Okay, so anywhere from like $10 to $20 donation would be.
That would be amazing. Absolutely. That would be amazing. Any corporation that's watching would be great. Huh?
Yeah. If anybody can do more, great. But
yes.
Give people an idea.
Yes.
But just one Care Bear, if you could do $10.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
For those of people don't know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness
Yes.
Month. So we are making people aware of cancer all month. So I'm glad you came on and talked about your organization. It's so needed. I've done talks for breast cancer back in Massachusetts. It was called the Breast Friends Connection. Love them.
Mm-hmm.
And I see how they, once again, it's all about that, they need love. They need to know that they're loved.
Absolutely.
Illness, but it doesn't mean can't still love them, so.
Yes. And then when it comes from a stranger, it means much more, right? somebody that doesn't know you, and that blesses me when I'm able to just reach out to someone on TikTok or on Instagram and say, I just saw your story. Can I send you a Care Bear? And you could hear it, even the typing, it sounds crazy, but most of them, yes, oh my God, and that brings about the exposure. This is that month. So uh, I, I, it is my intent to bring a certain amount of bears to Zion Treatment Center this month.
You located? You're in Chicago? Are you in
I'm sorry.
Chicago? Where are you
I'm in
located?
Lake Villa. I'm in Lake Villa, actually. So I'm in Illinois. I'm just
Illinois.
outside of Chicago.
For anybody who wants to help physically in
Yes.
in the flesh,
Mhm.
if they live in that area.
Yes. They can you can actually even email me touching hearts for cancer at gmail.com. You can email
Okay.
me there, touching hearts for cancer at gmail.com. Email
Awesome.
me. What however we can connect, that would be amazing. And for
Okay.
those who may be interested in my book, it's on Amazon. It's called
Okay.
From Rejection to Redemption: One Woman's Journey. It is on Amazon, and so is the journal.
Yeah, I love that not to change the subject of your organization, but back to the book. I love how you have a journal with that because I think a lot of us, I don't care what you've gone through, addiction, what anything to do with rejection, abandonment, any of
Mhm.
that kind of stuff, a journal is so helpful to get those feelings out. Like, what are you going through?
Yes.
It
Yes.
really it's helpful for a lot of different people. It doesn't, you don't necessarily have to be going through the same thing you went through. It's
Mhm.
just the same types of emotions, I
Yes.
think. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right, Paula. Everybody has a something. You know what
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean?
Really
And
big.
if you can start on day one and then look back 30 days later after prayer, after surrender, and after all of those things, and see that what you started with you don't have anymore, what a great freedom. What a
Yeah,
great, just from writing. The writing is therapeutic, period.
absolutely.
You're able to get some things out. That's why sometimes therapists say, write a letter to the one who hurt you, write a letter to the one who left
Mhm.
you. You don't mail it to them, but you write it and you get those feelings out, and you're able to do all of those things. So absolutely, that's why I love the journal, because
Yeah.
it's full of prayers, teaches again about the language of prayer, but it also gives you a chance to say, I started October 1st and I ended October 31st. And oh my God. And you don't have to do it in 30 days. You can do it in as many days as you want. Just do
Oh, wow.
it. It's that kind of thing, because I want to see people free. We talked about that. And however that freedom comes. And sometimes for people, the freedom comes in looking at the journey and just really, this is real. Because when you put it on paper, it's real. This is what this is. And now I'm not there anymore. So definitely, yes.
I'm thinking we should start doesn't have to be this month, but we should start a group and we all get the journal and just kind of have like a little group. It doesn't have to be a face. I don't know what kind of group it'll be.
I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we all just, kind of journal and then you share what you want to share, I guess you could do.
Yes.
'Cause I'm sure some people are going to get some emotions out there like, oh no, I don't want to share that with
Mhm,
anybody. You know what I mean? That's going to
mhm,
happen.
mhm.
But some sort of a group, I'm thinking like a group. I think that would be really beneficial for a lot of people. Like we
Yeah,
could
yeah,
book
I
the
would love to be a part of it. That's good, because I
well,
can.
your book. Yeah. I'm just
but
thinking
but you learn,
really
like,
big things too.
even I think the beautiful thing about it, I'm sure that you'll probably agree with journals, is you can go back and you can look at those things and it'd be something different, right? So
Yep.
what might have been 30 days last year, if I go back and I reread it and I redo it, there's another something in the 30 days for this year. So you're still able to share and say, wow, I can
Yeah.
see that. And you can even share if there's time. Oh, I reverted. I kind of
Yeah.
went back to some things, and so yeah, it'd be amazing.
That'd
That
be
would
a
be
great
amazing.
thing to do. I don't know. We'll have to think about when, but if anybody out there, if this is something you're interested in,
Mhm.
reach out to me, reach out to Sherry, and we'll get it going. Like even if it's
Yes.
5 people, who cares? I think it would be really helpful with. There's so much going on in the world right now. Even myself, I'm an intercessor. I'm a prayer warrior. So God's given me a lot of stuff to know about that
Yes.
other people don't know about, and
Mhm.
it's a lot.
Yes, it is.
So
It
we're
is.
all going through lots of stuff. You might be a prophetic vessel, you might be a watchman, you might just be a regular person out there that
Yes.
doesn't know that you're meant to do certain
Hmm.
things for God or what your purpose is. I believe that doing something like that would really help a lot of people with whatever you're going through.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And sometimes you find your purpose through your pain. Everything that I went through has made me see that my purpose has been for the broken. You don't
Yeah.
understand broken until you've been broken. You don't
Yep.
understand certain things until you've gone through it. That's why intercessors like yourself, like me, we enter the session. We enter in to hear the voice of God and then bring the answer back for
Yeah.
someone who may not be able to get there. So some people, they may not understand that the reason why you have had the fight is because you're called to intercede, you're called to lead, you're called to dominate, you're called to do certain things, and because of that, the enemies fought you. You just weren't aware, and he never. The one thing he lives on is our ignorance of who we are. So
Oh,
once we find out who we are and what God has called us to be, then He's lost the battle, and I think people need to know that.
well, one last thing about you, you grew up fighting all the time. Now you're probably a spiritual fighter.
Absolutely.
You
I
got,
love a good war.
yeah,
I love a good war.
it
Yeah.
built you up for that. So
Yes.
everything we go through has a reason in the
Mhm.
spiritual world.
Mhm.
It just, or in the natural, like both,
Yes.
in the natural and the
Yeah,
spiritual.
absolutely.
It builds
Absolutely.
you up. Like I was picked on all the time. I was bullied all the. It made me stronger. Like I don't condone it, but I wouldn't be who I am now if I wasn't bullied and picked on. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be the
Yes.
person.
Yes. Yes. That's
I am.
powerful. Yes.
I don't condone these bullies that are really, they don't let go. Do you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like they're so bad that they really want people to, commit suicide or whatever. You know what I mean? But I don't condone that. But it happens. It's life, and it
Yes.
does make you stronger as long as it's not to the. Some people are violent out there.
Yes.
Kids are even violent. I don't condone that at all. But I'm just saying, some of the stuff that happens in life, it just makes you stronger. You know.
Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a powerful statement. I agree.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're a little bit over, so we'll just about end the broadcast. Once again, you can reach me through Instagram Messenger, Facebook Messenger is the best way, or text me. You can get my phone number right off the website, enrichyourhealth.com. Um, and I want to thank Maggie for being on here tonight. She says Paula is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Maggie.
Yep, she said you have the sweetness of a godly heart. That's what she was saying about you. But I want to thank you again, Sherry, for being on. Anybody wants to get your book, once again, it's on Amazon. What's the name of it again? It's,
From rejection to redemption, one woman's journey.
yeah. So if you want to do a group with us and
Yes.
do that, I'd really love to do that. I think it would be great for a lot of people. We'll get the journals, we'll get the book, read the book, because like, how are you going to do the journal without reading the
Absolutely.
book? But that we'll figure out a time. I don't know. Maybe we need to wait a couple months, give us some time to get the book. I don't know. Maybe we're in October. We might even want to start it in January. Everybody always wants to do New Year's resolutions and all that kind
Yes.
of stuff.
I
It
am
might be,
ready whenever you are.
yeah. So let us know if that's something you're interested in, and we'll start taking names and get this going. I think it'd be something was just hitting me. I'm like, that'd be a great thing to do. Have a group and just and do that, and then maybe we could take donations for the organization as
Yes.
well. You
Hmm.
know, so that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. I thank you so
Yeah.
much, Miss Paula, for such an opportunity to allow me to come on. I really do. And I just bless God for your work, for what you're doing. It's not easy being an intercessor. It's not. And I listened to you when you were talking. So I thank God for your yes.
Yeah.
God does everything except force His will on us. And so you gave Him a yes. And don't you ever think that yes is not going to produce some everlasting fruit. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for what you're doing. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
And anyone out there, like I'll just say this. I mean, we could talk all day about it. People don't understand it, but a long, long time ago, I started to get. I'll just say this, just so people understand what an intercessor is. I started to get visions. I didn't know, like it's like, oh my God, I see a tornado coming. Oh my God, it means you're meant to intercede and pray over that situation, and according to God's will, he may change that situation for the better. So for
Yes.
instance, what's going on in Florida, intercede. There's more hurricanes coming. Intercede. Pray for divine connections, divine resources. Leave no stone unturned in those areas for people that could still be alive. Whatever it might be, God will give you the scriptures. God will, but pray. That's what it's meant to do. When you
Yeah.
get those visions, those thoughts, those whatever God gives you. Some people hear, some people feel, some people see. I'm more of a seer, but he gives me these things. I didn't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to put that out there because there is a lot going on in the world, and that's one thing you can do. You can pray and intercede. Nobody's like a special intercessor, put it that way.
Yes. Yes.
Anybody can be one.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody. So I just wanted to put that out there because I think it's important with everything that's going on right now. A lot of people they are starting to see things and they don't know what to do with it. They just think,
Absolutely.
oh my God, the sky's falling. Well, we can do things about it. Not
Yes.
completely, we don't know that. But we can intercede, and according to God's will, things can change somewhat. So
Yes, I agree. And you know what I would like for, if you could help me with this, I would love to hear more about the medicine that you talked about for bloating and things like, I know that's totally shifted it,
yeah,
but I would love to hear more about that because that's one of the things that I'm challenged with. So I would
okay,
love to hear
we'll
more about
talk
that.
about that. I can help you with that.
All
Sure.
right.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. We'll talk about
Okay.
that on another show. But I can help, for those of you out there, I help with people reduce inflammation,
Hmm.
which reduces bloating. So, and any kind of other issues you might have along with bloating, sometimes arthritic problems or food allergies, sensitivities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Nice.
Well,
Okay.
thank you again for coming
Thank
on. And
you.
like a little miscommunication about the time. It
So
happens.
sorry about that. I'm so
Every
sorry.
though everything happens for a reason. Maybe these last 10 minutes somebody else jumped on. We don't, who knows? You
Right.
never, right? But please reach out to us if you want to be into the
Yes.
group with the journal. I'm thinking like January would be great. It'll give us some time to get people to do it. And
Yes.
that's when everybody does the New Year's resolutions, and that'd be a good time to kind of get stuff out there
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and help
Yes.
yourself. Yeah. So thanks everyone for being on. I
Thank
am
you.
looking for more guests in October. So if you're going through cancer, you're a practitioner with cancer, I don't care, an apostle, a pastor, it can be any of that, prophet, doesn't matter. Somebody's overcoming it, gone through it, got a book, whatever. Love to have you on the show. So I do have a guest next week, but we're open after that. So please reach out to me. Would love to have you on. So thanks again, Sherry, for being on. This was
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah. So please feel free to share this. You never know who needs to hear this. So please
Yes.
feel
Yes.
free to share. So thanks again, everyone. And with
Thank
that,
you, everyone. Bye bye.
see you next week. Bye,
See
everybody.
ya.